Sometimes I watch just the pictures. I dream to stand in front of these important buildings, or I make a movie in Egypt. My favourite character to impersonate is Cleopatra. If there will be a remake of that movie, I will apply for this character immediately. Did Beyonce's character not play as Cleopatra in Dreamgirls? Yes, she did. Next, I want to let come true his bodyguard, the hairstylist within hours. They were all dead. Ellie's body was found still strapped into a seat about 20 feet away from the wreckage. An autopsy detailed major head trauma and extensive burns, making her survival was unthinkable. But the fact that she only had a sleeping pill and then all of a sudden was knocked out unconscious, and she didn't feel anything, and she didn't know that she was being carried into the plane unbeknownst to her, against her will, or whatever. We don't know. It's still weird how she didn't mumble or anything, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's a bit conflicted, because at the same time, if she was so unconscious, maybe she wouldn't have felt anything, which is a massive blessing, because the fact that less than a minute later, the plane literally just crashed straight away, and she was literally thrown in her seat 20 feet away, which is insane. So in a way, I guess it's a blessing in a way to have not felt anything, if that was the case, but it's still just absolutely just horrible. Okay, the next one I'm going to be talking about is Tupac. Now, I have another one written down, but I think I'm just going to do these three, and then in another one I can carry on and do more, because there's a lot of celebrity deaths and things. So, in 1996, Tupac Shakur was the crown prince of West Coast rap. His murder remains unsolved. Las Vegas police just searched Anderson's new home on July the 17th, as they said, part of the ongoing Tupac Shakur homicide investigation that's gripped pop culture ever since its untimely end. On September the 7th, 1996, Shakur arrived in Las Vegas to attend a Mike Tyson fight with Death Row Records co-founder Marion Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Shakur's bodyguard Frank Alexander had arrived the day before to ensure the trip went as smoothly as possible. Alexander was to find out that guests were being asked not to bring any guns into Night 662 Club, where they planned to party after the fight. Big Frank, as the rapper called him, didn't like the idea of being without a weapon while protecting the cure, who attracted a crowd wherever he went, obviously, because he's Tupac. As Shakur Knight and assorted entourage members were leaving, Knight associates Trevor Lane came up to Shakur, whispered something to him, and the rapper took off with Alexander close behind. Shakur was exchanging punches with a man named Orlando Anderson, who was linked to the Los Angeles-based Southside Crips gang. Hotel security broke up the fight, and the Death Row crew returned to the luxury, their preferred place to stay in Vegas. Alexander planned an ongoing with Shakur to in Knight's BMW, but Tupac handed his bodyguard the keys to his girlfriend's Kidda Jones car and instructed Alexander to drive his backup group, the Outlaws, to the club. Knight was behind the wheel of his BMW with Tupac in the passenger seat. Alexander followed behind, and he wouldn't even stop for gas when the warning light came on. So concentrated was he on keeping up with Tupac in his sights. Knight and then that there's been a shooting and that these cars are running from the police. I figured one of the cars was the shooter at least. We don't know who's chasing who or why. So when they got there, I pulled out my gun and I was trying to tell everybody, yelling at them to get down on the ground. Some of them did and some of them didn't. It was kind of passive resistance. Some of them looked at each other like, do we listen to him? What are we going to do here? They kind of unwillingly complied, running around yelling, blood flying out of the side of his head. But he's acting like he's not hurt at all. Carol remembered. I had to point my gun at him saying, get back. When he finally got the door open, he could see that the passenger was in bad shape. Tupac had been shot 4 times. Frank, I can't breathe, he told Alexander. According to Dana Lee McQuilla and Frank Johnson's 2010 biography, Tupac Shakur. And that was it. Carol had a different memory of Shakur's last words. We have something called dying declaration, where if someone is able to tell you while they're dying and they believe they're going to die, kill them, that's admissible in court, he explained. It's not hearsay. So I asked him what happened, who shot you, who did this, and he just kind of ignored me. He was trying to yell back and forth to Suge. Suge was yelling at him, back, back. He kept yelling and Tupac was trying to yell back, but he couldn't really get a breath together. I was still trying to ask him who shot him, what happened, and finally he went from kind of swirling and trying to yell at Suge to all of a sudden, in an instant, going to a feeling like he couldn't do it anymore. Carol continued and he just kind of went back and I could just see him going into a relaxed state, and he looked at me and I thought I was actually going to get some cooperation, and he got a breath together and I said, who did this? He looked at me and he went, F you. And that was it. Sorry, I know it's not funny to laugh about someone dying, but it's the fact that apparently according to this card, the last thing Tupac said was F you. Like, I actually can't. After he said that, his eyes rolled back in his head. He was gurgling and he never regained consciousness again. So that was the last thing he ever said. Shakur underwent emergency surgery